Hi, it's Chris Grimm, and this is Deep Work Fast. Thanks for joining me every Tuesday at this time, 3 o'clock Pacific time. I guess if you're watching this later, this time doesn't make any sense. Anyway, every Tuesday at 3 o'clock Pacific time, I get onto LinkedIn and Facebook for 20 minutes or less, and I bring you tools, ideas, concepts, books to make you better in all of your roles at home or at work. So this is not just limited to your job. I want you to be better, maybe your best self, as much as possible, no matter what the situations. So let's get into it. This week, I dropped a blog. It's called Building Confidence and Self-Worth. Actually, let me make sure that is that. Yes, Building Confidence and Self-Worth is the name of the blog. Thank you, Mission Control, for putting it in the chat. If you haven't seen it, it is a quick read. So today I wanted to talk about this because many people, even if they're having a crisis of confidence or something happens where they start to wobble and are feeling super insecure and maybe even questioning their worth at work, their worth in their roles at home, don't know how to talk about it, might not actually label it this way. And when you can't identify that this is the problem or a problem that's potentially coming, or maybe that you've just experienced, you can't get the help you need. So I want you to know what this looks and feels like for yourself and others so that you or the people around you can get the help they need to rebound and get their confidence, their self-worth back, your confidence and self-worth back as quickly as possible, because it's no fun to spend any amount of time not feeling confident or feeling insecure, or letting it go on so long that you actually sabotage yourself. We don't want that. So first of all, people tend to fall into, I believe, 3 categories. So we coach a lot of people. I'm oftentimes assessing people and spending a lot of time with humans like you. 3 categories. 1, chronic confidence issues. Like whatever's going on at work and at home, this person tends to chronically be on like a roller coaster of feeling confident. I feel good about this, and then not feeling confident, right? So I call that chronic because it means that it's an ongoing pattern that the person tends to have. The second category of people who are insecure and not feeling confident, but they fake it. And we're going to talk today about what it looks like when people are kind of forcing themselves to behave in a way so that other people think that they're confident and feeling good about what's going on, but they're probably not. And then there is the crisis of confidence. And that means it's a moment in time where maybe a whole bunch of things are happening at work and at home. And a person who normally is maybe high achieving and really confident, appropriately healthy confidence and self-worth, all of a sudden plummets and is in crises. So 3, chronic, the faker, and then crisis of confidence. And I want to talk to you about what those look like. In the blog, I actually gave you some resources, and Heather, Mission Control, is going to put that in the chat. I'll talk a little bit about that at the end, but I think it's more important to talk about those 3 things and what it looks like. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about what usually triggers people. So whether they're chronically in a cycle of high confidence, low confidence, high self-worth, low self-worth, or a crisis, there's certain things in life that for me are usually telltale signs that the person either is faking it or might be having some issues around self-confidence and self-worth. One that you might not actually guess, and it's important to know, is when someone gets promoted. Yes, a good thing. So you can be like working hard and ambitious and wanting that promotion for a really, really long time. Maybe a promotion isn't a title change, but maybe it comes from a scope change. And what I mean by that is your team gets bigger or smaller, the workload, maybe the degree of difficulty of the kinds of work or the goals that you and your team or your family, by the way, takes on changes, right? So when someone goes through a role change, um, oftentimes the beginning of the new time in new role is a time where you're aware or consciously incompetent, right? All of a sudden you don't know how to do these things. Part of having a promotion, by the way, is that, right? You want to leap up to the next level, or take on a bigger team or have the biggest job of your life. Well, what comes along with that is hopefully challenges, things that you've never done before. And so that is a time where, in fact, when I help plan for that with leaders, I actually very transparently and on purpose talk with everyone, HR, the person, their boss, about the first maybe 90 to 100 days that you would be in the new job, and talk about what could happen that could start to shake the foundation of this person's confidence. Because if we're going to do something new and great and big, well, there's going to be stuff you've never done before. And when there's things we've never done before, it can cause us to feel incompetent, even for a minute. It doesn't have to last a long time. It's just that moment where you start to realize, oh my gosh, I've never done this before. This kind of feels weird to me. I don't really know what to do. And if it lasts too long and other people start to witness it, it can create, like I was saying before, something called a crisis of confidence, where all of a sudden you take a rock star, you promote them, you put them in this new role. And because they start to wobble, that's what I call it, when the person starts second guessing their decisions, they start looking for validation, maybe from the boss, maybe from team members, maybe other parts of the organization. If you're in a work situation, right, they're looking for validation. Like, am I doing this right? Like, I don't know if this is the right decision. I've never done something this big before, right? So that's what I mean in a real practical way of what it looks and feels like when someone who might have been super competent and confident starts to be on unsteady ground. Now, this happens in home too. So I want to mention this. And again, often totally underestimated until it becomes a problem. But I hear it all the time from people. When your kids, if you have children, for instance, and your kids move from one age level to another. And so the kids are hopefully getting more independent as they grow up. They need parents for different things. And that change can be a huge deal for people. I know men and women, by the way. It's not just the moms. And oftentimes people will say, we're going to become empty nesters. And then the focus could be maybe on the parent who was the stay-at-home parent. I have found in my coaching with people that anytime something big changes, whether we plan for the change or not, someone is most likely triggered for a short period of time or the long period of time where they start to question, who am I now? Can I be good in the new world? If in the old world, I was really good at all these things and everybody depended on me to do things, right? Now they don't need me to do those things anymore. Now what? And that can create what I was referring to before as a crisis of confidence, or if you are a chronic confidence roller coaster person, it might take you on the downward for a little while until you upswing. Other things that can create this moment, right, where I call it's kind of like a ding in your confidence, are things like your business growing. Another good thing, by the way, most people want their business to grow. But sometimes the growth can get out of control really, really fast, right? Way more new customers than you ever imagined. And congratulations. Of course, the problem is that might break a whole bunch of things. And all of a sudden, the confidence will wobble in maybe more than one person at a time. It could also be business decline, of course. That's one that most likely there's a lot of stress and fear. And that would overlay on the confidence, right? And the, like I said, sometimes even self-worth, right? Where if our confidence stays low for too long, then what can happen is our ego, so you should understand this, right? Our ego, our identity, which is a healthy thing that we all have that makes us who we are. It helps drive us to make choices that are fairly consistent, I hope, so that people can experience you, well, intentionally the way that you want to be experienced. When we wobble and our confidence is shaken, sometimes we do things, we behave in ways, we make decisions that feel inconsistent or incongruent with the identity or our personal brand or the way people have experienced us in the past. And that can create more shakiness, right? That can create more of an issue. So I do want you to see this. If you're a leader watching this, I invite you again to think about yourself, but also your people, and think about the system that you're in and how much change people are experiencing, planned and unplanned, and start to realize that sometimes behavior change for the better and sometimes for the worse is happening because people are not feeling confident. Now, I want to address what I said earlier. I wasn't kidding. There are people who are not feeling confident. They're feeling super insecure, like they might lose their job or maybe their marriage or both, right? Lots of things happening. And they could be faking confidence. So I want to talk about what that can look like when we are healthy confidence versus unhealthy or faking it, right? So if you don't know, make some notes for yourself. Healthy confidence looks and feel likes. Hello, can I talk? Self-awareness, realistic self-appraisal, right? Like objective about yourself. That is healthy confidence. I know what I do well. I know what I'm not that great at, and I can talk about it without it triggering me. I don't feel insecure about saying to you, I'm not great at math. I'll just do it right now. It's a thing. I need a spreadsheet and a calculator, and I need people to triple check my numbers. I'm not great at that. But I'm great at other things, right? So I have objectivity about what I know I do well consistently and not. And that's healthy self-confidence. It helps us go into the world and offer our talent to people and get other people to help us where we have weaknesses. And we can't do that when we're trying to fake it, by the way. If we're trying to pretend that we're good at a whole bunch of things that we're not, there's a whole bunch of ways that can go wrong. Also, healthy self-confidence is I'm fairly flexible in my perception about myself. In other words, I'm willing to take feedback from other people. I am willing to listen when other people tell me something that they think I don't know. Like I might be doing something and saying something with certain intention, but it might not be landing right. The other people might not be experiencing it with all the goodness that I intend. And so, healthy self confidence would be me being able to listen to other people, right? Ask them, is this working for you? I'm not really feeling like we're connecting, like maybe you're not understanding what I'm asking for, or every time I do this, I don't quite get the reaction that I thought I was going to get. Please tell me why, and I can listen without being defensive, right? I can actually hear what they say and accept that their perception and their needs are as real and important as what I intend. That's healthy. Okay. A willingness to take calculated risks. So this is a big one, and I want you to know it about yourself and the people around you. When people are willing to do the homework and take calculated risk and can feel confident, like they know how to prepare before making a big decision or making a big change, right? That's a calculated risk. Like this could go wrong, but I know how to prepare for it. And I'm going to get the right people and I'm going to get the right resources. That's confidence. That is healthy confidence versus being reckless or being unprepared and then making the change anyway and living with a whole bunch of consequences that we could have prevented, right? So people who are healthy, confident, they know their self-worth, they know what they bring to the table. Well, they know how to prepare for calculated risks and take them and do things, and more often they're successful because they've prepared, because they've looked at all the different things that could go right and could go wrong. Let's talk about what unhealthy confidence looks like. The number one thing, right, is faking it. So faking it often could be arrogance, right? Like that I'm sure that you know people, and maybe you've had moments, I know I have too, where I tried to pretend that I was more confident than I actually was. And that leads to something I had just talked about, right? Which is oftentimes making change or decisions and taking risks. And unfortunately, dealing with the consequences and living out more of probably what we don't want. So when people are faking the confidence, you're going to have that. You are also most likely going to have people who are either super risk adverse, right? The other side of recklessness is risk aversion, right? They won't take any risk, even something small. That could even be going and talking to someone who's mad at them. I've coached people like that, where all of a sudden I was like, what is happening? Why are you so afraid to have a conversation with a person? And that's because their confidence level is actually quite low, even though on the outside they were presenting like they were okay and confident. Not healthy. Also, unhealthy is a dependency on a whole bunch of other people's opinion. So, oftentimes, when I'm going to coach someone and I'm doing my discovery, I'm looking for that. Like, is the person constantly looking for validation outside him or herself? Can they take action and be confident about it, even if it's unpopular? Or does it always have to be popular? Like they need everybody around them to be okay with it. This leads to really poor management and leadership decisions, by the way, right? So when we over promote people who aren't ready to be leaders, one of the things that I know is a sign that they're not going to be successful is when they're not willing to make hard decisions, not willing to communicate hard messages, specifically around change that will be unpopular, because they're not feeling confident, and they're now most likely either feeling like an imposter or like they're just super afraid. And that's a crisis of confidence, guys. And in fact, when you overlay, and in most people's lives, a lot of this is happening, right? When people are dealing with a lot of things at the same time in their personal life and at work, I'm often looking for the warning signs of unhealthy or lack of confidence, because I know if it's sustained for too long, people will sabotage themselves. And I want to talk about what that looks like. When people start talking negatively about themselves out loud, it means they've gone too long without a healthy level of confidence. That's not great, right? So we want to head that off. We want to get people to start having right thinking so that what's coming out of their mouth is objective, right? Not super negative all the time, not super paranoid, not so worried about what everybody else thinks that they can't kind of move past their self-doubt and into clean, clear thinking about whatever has to be done. And there are some blocks to that, which is in some organizations, specifically if the culture is one where we're always setting unrealistic goals, and then even if the company isn't successful, we just keep doing that. Oftentimes you have a whole bunch of leaders who are trying to look and feel confident and really want to be that. But underneath, that's not real, right? So we end up getting a lot of behavior that we don't want. I know we're coming up on time. This is a really important topic. So in the chat, I've put some resources for you. There are 3 books. They're listed in the blog. If you or other people around you, are suffering from this, and if you're going to be going through more change or growing your business fast, you want to head this off at the pass. You want people to be aware of the signs and know what to do and how to recover if their confidence takes a ding or a big dip. The books are The Confidence Code, The Science and Art of Self-Assurance. That is for women, by the way. Anybody can read it, but it was written for women. The second one is You Are a Badass, How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness. I know it's a silly title, but the book is actually quite good, and will resonate for many people who kind of like the irreverent kind of tone. The last one is The Gifts of Imperfection. It's a fantastic classic book by Brené Brown. Any one of those three could be super helpful to you and other people at home or at work. If there's any chance or already a situation where someone's confidence is waning. So I want you to feel confident. I want you to be at your best. And I know you want that for everybody around you. So grab the blog, grab one of those books, and I'll see you next week for Deep Work Fast. Thank you. Have a great day.